Hi, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Madam Lina and my fellow friends. Today, our group will present about managing small group work. The presenter for today's seminar is first, which is me myself, Atirah binti Jamaluddin. The second presenter is Anis Solehah binti Kamaruddin. The third presenter is Nurul Najihah binti Mustafa Kamal, and the last presenter is Nur Jannatun Nasuha binti Camry. So, for today's topic, we will be discuss about first, introduction and benefit of group work. Second, challenges of small group work. Third, designing and implementing effective group work part 1. And the last one is designing and implementing effective group work part 2 and also conclusion. Hi, I am Atira and I will present to you about introduction and benefits of small group work. So without wasting our time, let we move to the introduction part. Have you ever heard your teacher say to you like this? Do your own work. Work without talking to your friends, okay? Please keep your eyes on your paper. Pay attention to the teacher, please. If you need help, raise your hand, okay, student? Have you ever heard this phrase? These are the norm of the traditional classroom setting, which is student pay attention at teacher and stay at their own desk. So, this setting, students have little opportunity to interact, assist one another, and collaborate on tasks. So, group work can be effective method to motivate students, encourage active learning, and develop critical thinking, communication, and also decision-making skills. But first, let me watch a video first, okay? Okay, what did you guys get from the video? As we can see that the meerkat work together to get back their pomegranates from the eagle, right? So this we call as a teamwork, or in education we can call as a group work. So as the Vince Lombardi said that individual commitment to group effort, that is what make a teamwork, a society work, a company work, and also a civilization work. Okay, let me move to the benefits of group work. There are 7 benefits that students can get from the group work, which is first, decrease idle time in class. Second, increase interaction across gender, ethnic, and race. Third, increase achievement. Fourth, enhance involvement in learning. Fifth, decrease competition among students. Sixth, improve relationship among students with and without disabilities. And the last one is enhance motivation. So, for the first point, which is decrease the idle time in class, usually students tend to get stuck or did not understand certain topic or question, and they become uninvolved and tend to disturb other students. So, with small group work, it will help to occupy students with discussion and activities. For the second point, which is increased interaction across gender, ethnic, and race, as we know that when it comes to group work, there are a combination of gender, ethnic, and race. So it is a very suitable setting for students to develop their social skill and interaction between them. The third point is increased achievement. Group work have a positive effect on students' achievement, such as students can debate and discuss, asking questions, explaining, and also evaluate others' work. The fourth point is enhance involvement in learning. Group work allows students to generate new idea or understanding in group, and they can share it with their friends and entire class. The next point is decrease competition among students. Group work able to promote positive relationship and greater psychological health rather than being competitive and individualistic. As we know that when the student work in a group, they need to cooperate with each other to achieve or gain something. The sixth point is improve relationship among students with and without disabilities. This help to integrate students with disabilities into a general education classroom, which is student without disability and student with disabilities can work together in a group. So the last point is enhance motivation. Working with peer can enhance students' motivation, especially for those who have a negative attitude towards schools. So, let me move to the second presenter, which is Anisolehah binti Kamarudin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anisolehah binti Kamarudin, and I will present to you about the pitfall of a small group work. This is some of the pitfall of a small group work, which is including the leading to a bias segregation when the teachers allow the student to choose their own group work, an unequal participation of group members in doing a task, lack accomplishment on the learning, and lack of cooperation with one another in the group work. Okay, the first pitfall is the leading to a bias segregation when the teachers allow the student to choose their own group. When the teachers allow the student to choose their own group without planning which one will be in any one group, most of the student will choose to be with whom they perceive as being similar to them. This will lead to the bias segregation. Some cases stated that they will be segregated if they are different in the races, gender, ethnicity, or non-disabled and the disabled student. These are not excluded the Individual with Disability Education Act. These individuals are not disabled in their physical, but they are disabled in their intelligence or mental, but they are not excluded in it. Desegregation happen maybe because they are not comfortable with each other and they are not sure whether they can communicate with each other as they are not same with each other. The second pitfall is the unequal participation of group members in doing a task. The term that is related to this thing is called freeloader. Okay, freeloader is the phenomenon happen when one or two students in the group end up doing all work while the others sit back and doing nothing. Maybe for them this is an efficient approach on the task, but letting the rest to do nothing will make them to not learning anything from the task. Meanwhile, the dominant student will take over the interaction in the group, comparing to the passive student. The dominant student that was being said, maybe they are among the higher status student. For example, in America, the white boy American is considered as a higher status person, the popular person, and the high academic achiever. These are the type of passive student that are uninvolved in the group work. First of all is the discouraged student, which is mostly low achievers. They perceive the work is too hard and they feel that it is better to leave it to others to who is understand more about it. Okay, and the second one is the unrecognized student, which is mostly the low achievers, which is at initial the students' effort are ignored or unrecognized by others, and the student felt it is the best to retire on the group work. And the third one is the despondent student, which is the high or low achievers. The student feeling dislikes or uncomfortable with one or more student in the group and doesn't want to work with them. Okay, the fourth category is the unmotivated student, which is among the high or low achievers. The student perceive that the tasks are so unimportant, or it is only a game with no grade being assigned to reward effort expended. And the fifth category is the bored student, which is among mostly of high achievers. The student think that the task is really boring because it is too easy or not challenging at all. And last but not least is the intellectual snob, which is come from the high achievers. The student felt that the peers are less competent and doesn't want to have a lot of explaining. They will end up working individually. The third pitfall of being in a small group work is getting a lack of accomplishment on the learning. Most students doesn't get much done on the group work after the session is end. This can be caused by the distractive attitude that was being done by the student, such as they are being too socialized, fool around, and making noise while doing tasks in the group. This will distract the student to do work in group or discussing it or being guided by the teachers during doing the task together. Last but not least is the lack of cooperation with one another in the group work. Okay, some of the students tend to do work alone as they are only the one who know how to do it. And second, the probability that might happen that cause the lack of cooperation is the lack of interpersonal communication skills among the students. They don't know how to communicate with each other with effectively without hurting anyone, and how to conveying conveying the information about the task and to discuss on it. And maybe a little experience in doing work in a group is one of the contributions of the lack of cooperation with one another in the group work.
Thank you for the previous presenter. Hi guys, I hope you still okay to proceed this session. Before we start, let's take a deep breath and move around a little bit. Okay, so I'm Najiha. We present to you about designing and implementing effective group work part 1. In this session, we will go through 4 out of 8 important points that are very important in design and implement effective group work, which are decide on the type of group to use, decide on the size of the group, decide on group submission, and lastly, structure the task for interdependence. Let's move to the first. First, there are 4 different groups that can be used to decide the type of the group, which are helping permitted, helping obligatory, peer tutoring, and also cooperative. I will explain each of the group in the next slide. Helping permitted. Helping permit is when students work on their own tasks and being evaluated as individual. The students allow but not a must to help the others to finish the task. For examples, the teachers giving a task of building a block. So when the students have finished their own, they can help their friends if they want to. Second, helping obligatory. Helping obligatory is the same with helping permitted, but differ a little bit where they were expected to help their friends. For the peer tutoring, it is different from the other two where the relationship between the student is not equal. The relation will be between an expert and the students that need help. So the assistance flows is in only one direction. Typically, a higher performing student will be paired with lower performing students to solve a task. It helps the students with disabilities and allows students to receive one-to-one assistance. All of this group can be considered as collaborative set work as it involves with students assisting the other as individual assignment. Next, we move to cooperative group, where it divided into 2 groups which are simple cooperative and completely cooperative group. Cooperative group is different from those in collaborative set work as it share a common goal or end of a task. In simple words, they need to work together at the end to produce final product or getting the final result. For simple cooperative, the student will carry out independently their own division of responsibilities of the task, but the result will be combined and coordinated at the end to produce final joint product. For example, during lab session, some session will be conducted by group, so the work for the experiment will be divided to each member and the result of their own part will be combined to get the final result. While for completely cooperative, all of the members of the group will work together to create the group product from start to the end or final. As its contrast to helping situation, cooperative group requires skills beyond requesting and giving appropriate assistance as they work in a team and not a pair. As a teacher, we need to alert that different type of group are suitable for different type of activities. Next, the second point is to decide on the size of the group. So basically, the size of the group is depending on the task given. It is not suitable to put 6 members in a group just to do a pair role play, right? There are two sizes of group that can be used, which is group of 2, which pair, and group more than 2. Group of 2, which is a pair, is very easy to handle, especially for the beginner's teacher. It also preferred by the younger students as it do not use a lot of social skills in the task. It also suitable to be used before cooperative group work, so that the students will slowly get used of the term work with others. For more than 2 groups, member of 4 to 5 is recommended and the maximum is 6 members. It is useful for the tasks that require a lot of work and division. It is also good as the group size increase. More ideas can be obtained, but sometimes the larger the group, the more difficult it will be as it gets hard to allocate turns for speaking and some member can be a sleeping partner. So, wait, what about group of 3? Group of 3 is good, but teacher and the member need to make sure that there will be no one be isolated during the task. Okay? Are you still okay, guys? Cheer up, okay? Next, let's move to how to decide on group composition. It is really important to think about the composition as it helps to decide on the type and size of the group. There are a few ways that teacher will advise to do, such as form a group with respect to gender, ethnicity, race, linguistic background, and ableness. Respect to achievement level, social skills, and not to forget control randomness. Let me explain to you one by one. First, teacher can form a group that are heterogeneous with respect to gender, ethnicity, race, linguistic background, and ableness. It is very important for the teacher to take note on it as it can cause dysfunction of the group, argument, and no progress in the task can occur. It also can cause burden for the students that separated from their friends that they always be. The students might be uncomfortable with the person that they never work with. So teachers need to focus on that too. Next, respect to achievement level. Teachers need to consider whether the small group will be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Homogeneous group can be useful when forming a group of several students that working on particular skills, such as chemistry, physics, or mathematics. However, most educators recommended to use heterogeneous group as it can provide more opportunity for asking questions and receiving explanation from all the students. Next, social skills. The group work will be better when students' personality and social skills has been considered. There are some situations where the students have an ability to be a leader, where the others have the abilities to resolve a conflict or problem. So, teachers need to balance the students in the group so that everyone can use their skills and get benefit from it. Lastly, control randomness. Control randomness approach can be used when the teachers face difficulty to create a group. This is where the teacher make group assignment in the students' presence. For example, the teacher will prepare 6 different color paper. Each of the color represent a task. So each of the students will randomly pick the color which resemble their new group. Then they will perform the task based on the color paper until they get the final result. This will help the students to experience working in various types of group and tasks. And last but not least, the fourth point is about the structured cooperative task for positive interdependence. Positive interdependence is when the teacher wants to ensure the students to give cooperation. So, teacher will create a situation where the students need one another to succeed. There are a few strategies to promote interdependence. First, require group members to share material. Sharing materials means that when one member has a page of chemistry problem and the other have the answer sheet of the problem, so they need to work together to solve the problem and at the end check the answer together. Next, create a group goal. When forming a task, the group member will discuss their part, combine the idea and turn in the idea into one paper for the whole group. But these strategies are not strongly recommended, as one person can do all the work while the others will be a sleeping partner. Third, give a group grade or reward. Students love reward, as it shows their effort in completing the task. This will increase the pressure on a group member to make sure that every member do their work completely and well done for the next task. Next, structure to tasks to make students depend on each other for information, such as during collecting data for case study. Then, the fifth, create rich complex tasks that require multiple abilities. Teachers need to convince the student that each of them have their own specialties and abilities that they are good at. By doing this, difference between high-low students can be reduced and the one that always been left out or neglected can be used their ability to contribute in the task. And the last one, assign different roles to the group member. This will help the students to contribute their work in the task and make them to try new things as they hold a new roles. So that's all for my part in this session. I hope you gain some knowledge to use it in the future. So I end with moving to the next presenter. So bye.
Thank you, Najiha. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. My name is Nurjanatun Nasuha binti Kemri, and today I would like to present about designing and implementing effective group work part 2. There are 4 important points in designing and implementing effective group work part 2, which are: first, ensure individual accountability; second, teach students to cooperate; third, monitor learning, involvement, and cooperative behavior; and fourth, think about what to do when a student doesn't want to join a group. Now, let's take a look at the first point, which is ensure individual accountability. One way to encourage the participation of all group members is to make sure that everyone is held responsible for his or her contribution to the goal, and that each student's learning is assessed individually. Individual accountability is the second essential feature of cooperative learning, and it is one that teachers most often neglect. There are several ways to establish individual accountability. First, teacher can have each student to take individual tests on the material and receive individual grades. Second, teacher can have students complete and
identifiable part of the total group project. And third, teacher can call on one or two students from each group to answer a question, explain group's reasoning, or provided a demonstration. Ensuring accountability does not always mean that every student has to perform the same activity or be responsible for the same material. Within a heterogeneous cooperative group, it is sometimes desirable or necessary to differentiate tasks by complexity and quantity. In other words, students can engage in tasks at different levels of difficulty, or they can learn different amounts of material. The important point is that every student learns something that he or she doesn't already know and can contribute to a common goal. Now, let us take a look at the second point, which is teach students to cooperate. As the classroom teacher, it is our responsibility to teach students to work together. This is not a simple process. Students do not learn to cooperate in one 45-minute lesson. Indeed, we can think about the process in terms of 3 stages, which are: first, learning to value cooperation; second, developing group skills; and third, evaluation. Now, let's discuss these 3 points one by one. Let's go to the first point, which is valuing cooperation. Before students can work together productively, they must understand the value of cooperation. When students are going to work in the same groups over a period of time, it's often helpful to have them engage in non-academic activity designed to build a team identity and to foster a sense of group cohesion. Now, you must wondering what it's really mean, right? So, I will give you an example. Okay, let's say we, as a teacher, introduce group work. So, the first task that group have to do is to write a summary about the group members. Then, teacher will call on someone in each group and ask the students to tell the teacher what they learned about the members of the group. The second point is group skills training. Teaching a group skill requires systematic explanation, modeling, practice, and feedback. It's simply not enough to state the rules and expect students to understand and remember. And don't take anything for granted. Even basic guidelines such as don't distract others and speak quietly might need to be taught. In group skills training, it's helpful to begin by analyzing the group work tasks teachers have selected to determine the specific skills students need to know. Will students have to explain material? Will they have to listen carefully to one another? Will they have to reach a consensus? Once we as a teacher analyze the task, select one or two key behaviors to teach students. Resist the temptation to introduce all the required group skills at once. Going too far, too fast is sure to lead to the frustration. Next, explain to the students that they will be learning a skill necessary for working in groups. Be sure to define the terms, discuss the rationales, and provide the examples. Johnson & Johnson suggests that teacher can construct a T-chart on which teacher can list the skill and then with the class record ideas about what the skills would look like and what it will sound like. Finally, teachers need to provide opportunities for students to practice the skill and to receive the feedback. We, as a teacher, might have students role play, pair the skill with a familiar academic task so that students can focus their attention on using the social skill, or have students engage in exercise designed to teach a particular skill. The third point is evaluation. To learn from their experiences, students need the chance to discuss what happened and to evaluate how successful they were in working together. This is especially important when norms for group work are first being established. After individual groups have talked about their experiences, you might want to have them report to the whole class. You can encourage groups to share and compare their experiences by asking, did your group have a similar problem? How many groups agree with the way they solve their problems? Or what do you recommend? Also, teachers can ask students to write letters to members of their groups, noting the group's strengths and weaknesses, each member's contribution, and what areas need improvement. Afterward, students pass the letters around their group, read what everyone has written, and briefly discuss the sentiments that were expressed. Now, let's take a look at the third point, which is monitor learning, involvement, and cooperative behavior. Research confirms that teacher monitoring helps to promote a high level of student involvement in group activities. By monitoring, teachers are able to discern when an intervention into the group's activities is necessary. Typically, teachers will intervene when students were more off task than usual or had made little overall progress. In general, teachers' interventions were beneficial to the group. Students were more likely to be on task after an intervention from the teacher than before and were more likely to recognize their errors, develop new ideas, and explain ideas to one another. Another way to monitor what groups are actually achieving is to build in progress checkpoints. For example, after 2 days of having students do the assignments, teachers will stop the group's activity and ask students to report on what they had accomplished and what problems they are having. Similarly, we as a teacher can divide the large assignments into components that are due every few days. This allows us to keep track of how well groups are functioning. Now, let's take a look at the last point of this presentation, which is think about what to do when a student doesn't want to join the group. Sometimes, a student will resist being part of a small group and want to work alone. As a future teacher, what do you do then? Should you comply with the student wishes? So, in this slide, I will tell you about 4 ways to deal with students that doesn't want to join a group. The first way teachers can do is find out why students didn't want to join a group. Second ways teacher can do is the need to change group composition on a regular basis so that students don't feel stuck with people they don't particularly like. Teacher announce ahead of time how long the groups will be together. Depending on the activity, the group can last 15 minutes or 4 or 5 weeks. In any case, students know the group is temporary, and this helps them to accept what is perhaps an unappealing situation. The third ways for teacher to do is allow students to opt out of group activity if their reasoning was valid and if the activity did not require their participation. As a teacher, we know there are times students just feel like working alone. Maybe they had a bad day or there's a problem at home or they think they get more done working individually. In cases like this, forcing them to work in a group seems counterproductive. And the last ways to deal with students that doesn't want to join a group is continually emphasize the importance of learning to work with many different of people. Sometimes, it's a lot easier just to allow the student not to join a group. But a part of education is developing the social skills needed to work with a variety of people. When students are working in completely cooperative groups, teachers should allow individuals to submit a minority report, a strategy that will make them more willing to work with people they perceive as less capable. Now, we reach at the conclusion part of this presentation. Although this presentation entitled Managing Small Group Work, we have seen that there are actually a number of different group work situations, each with its own set of uses, procedures, requirements, and pitfalls. As a future teacher, we need to acquire an understanding of intricacies of group work in general and cooperative learning in particular. Group work is extremely challenging instructional approach, and successful management requires careful planning and implementation. And now, we reach at the end of our presentation. Thank you for participating and thank you for listening to our presentations. Do you have any questions? So, if you have any question, feel free to ask any question to us on this platform. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.